for Christians specifically who are maybe like heard the headline, this is going to make you question your faith. No, it's not. I mean,
Yeah.
not 99% of Christians, and it actually gives an answer that's okay. It's an answer for the question that is supposed to make you question your faith. Hello, welcome to the Reverend and the Retcon. I'm the Reverend.
And I'm the Retcon.
We are two nerds who are Christian and love to talk about storytelling, love to talk about movies, love hanging out. So we made a podcast doing just that.
This week we're going to be talking about Steven Spielberg's new movie, Disclosure Day. Kind of our feelings on the movie in general. We'll give you a spoiler-free review at the beginning for those who just want to know whether we recommend it or not. Then we'll dive into a little spoilers, and then we'll kind of get into some deeper theology there at the end. So stay tuned and see what we have to say. Let's dive in. Levi, what did you think about Disclosure Day?
I liked it. I feel like when I got out of the theater, I was like here. And then the next day I was a little bit more here. And then the next day I was a little bit here. And then I started listening to others pick it apart and listening to some stuff on YouTube and going, oh, was it actually good? Like
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I've listened to a lot of negative reviews, but I think I would still I'm not as high on it as when I left the movie theater, but I'm still pretty happy about it. I actually was getting done with 5 nights of VBS, and my wife said
Yep.
the best time for me to go would be 10 p.m. showing on Friday. So after 5 nights of VBS, I went to this 2.5 hour movie, and I did not nod. I did not, my eyes didn't leave the screen. I was into it. The characters were interesting. I wanted to find out what happened next. I would recommend it for the most part. I actually saw one review that actually was kind of our niche a little bit and said, should Christians watch this? And the answer was really funny. It was no, because
Interesting.
it was demonic, because
Oh,
it's supposed to be demonic. And then I come to find out the person didn't even go watch it. They were just
wow.
responding to the things that had been said about it. And I thought it was really interesting because I feel like there's a theme in the movie about truth and if you should search out truth, or
Yeah.
if like will truth hurt you or not. And that person almost had this like, don't think too much about your faith. Like don't let them pull you away from your faith by thinking too much about it. We'll get into that later.
Yeah, for
But no,
sure.
I thought it was a very thought-provoking movie in many ways. I thought some of the thought-provoking stuff didn't give a satisfying answer to what the thought was, but it created interesting thoughts. I'm still thinking about it, and I still think I will be thinking about it later on the line. What did you think about it?
Yeah, I had very much the same arc. I texted you right when I got out of the theater and said that was probably the best alien movie ever, maybe. And and then quickly sent you another text saying, I think I might recant that because as I sat with it, I had very much kind of the same trajectory of being like, was it that good? Or did it live up to my expectations? And yes and no. Like I think it's a good movie. You should go see it in the theater. I was like, this is amazing. You know, it starts out fast. It goes fast the whole way. There are some thought provoking aspects to it, and in the end, I think it's a good ride. It's a fun time. Is it the cerebral theological movie I think it was kind of hyped up to be? Maybe not so much, but that's okay. It's still a fun summer blockbuster. I think Spielberg is very consistent. I think he makes good movies, and they're not always the greatest movies, but they're consistently good.
Yeah.
So I tend to trust when I see Spielberg either directing or associated with a movie that I'm in for a good time, and that was the case with this one as well. Um,
It's also an original idea,
right.
and it wasn't a sequel to something. I almost If there's a sci-fi movie that comes out, sci-fi fantasy that isn't a sequel to something, and even it's not an adaptation of anything, it's just its own thing. I want to go support that because those are dying. Those types of movies are dying.
100%.
The Creator came out a couple of years ago, and I actually really liked that.
Oh, love that one.
And
Future
nobody went
video
to see
idea.
it because it was we should do one about that. Say there's a lot of movies that just slip through the cracks because they're not MCU, they're not Star Wars, they're
Yeah.
not Fast and the
Yeah.
Furious 200.
Which I've been surprised how well this one is doing, kind
Yeah,
of in spite of that. It's hit almost 100 million in its opening weekend, which is the biggest of Spielberg's career, apparently, which surprised me.
me too.
Um, but I think we're kind of seeing a bit of a resurgence of people going to the theater, especially this summer. There are so many good movies coming out, and it
Mhm.
seems like we're people are even making time for the. It's crazy to say that Spielberg is a smaller movie, but an original idea that doesn't have the hype of a franchise behind it.
Yeah.
Um, some of like the critics I saw of this movie, without spoilers, was saying like, "Oh, it's one big chase sequence," and it is. It's a big chase sequence with minor pauses here for character development or flashbacks.
Yeah.
But in the end, it's a chase sequence.
Yeah.
It reminded me the most if you saw Snowden with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. It was years ago. Smaller known movie, or
Yeah.
smaller known, literally released, but it was very much the same. Like stolen data, government trying to catch them. Will you get it
Yeah.
released or not? Which is
Yeah,
kind
some of
of
that,
the
some
movie
of
you
Enemy
get.
of the State with Will Smith. I,
Yep,
I
yep. Some
also
of that in
piqued
there
my
for
interest in
sure.
much. Yeah.
But
No,
yeah, go ahead.
I think overall though, I would recommend, and for Christians specifically who are maybe like heard the headline, this is going to make you question your faith. No, it's not. I mean,
Yeah,
not 99% of Christians, and it actually gives an answer that's okay. It's an answer for the question that is supposed to make you question your faith. The point that it ends on actually kind of gives you an answer for the question. I'm not really satisfied with the answer that it gives. But they give you a potential answer to how would how would Christianity respond if aliens were actually revealed? And
yeah,
that's the hype of the movie, and that's what Spielberg was like, this is going to make everyone question their faith, and they
yeah.
do give you an answer. Do we
They
want to
could
get
have
into
gone
that?
a lot harder into that. I did just want to make a couple more notes just about the
Yeah.
movie in general, some highlights. Emily Blunt, fantastic performance in this. Like I
Hmm.
think we'll probably see her winning an Oscar for this. Like she was so good, so convincing, and so unlike any other role I've seen her in.
Yep.
Maybe except for like her secretary role in Devil Wears Prada. I think she was channeling that a little bit, but she did a fantastic job. And then I would say another highlight was John Williams' soundtrack. Apparently, he came
Hmm.
out of retirement for the soundtrack, and I thought it was phenomenal. It was
It
very
was.
early John Williams esque with like a very ET feel, especially in like the third act. It was just
Yep.
taking me right back to those early movies.
Yep. I wish
Um,
uh, I have comments on both of those before you move on to your next one. I did like Emily Blunt. I did think she did a really good job. I was a little confused by her character arc. The person that they show her to be at the beginning and then who she turns into, there's like no, I don't see, and I don't buy it. It's a
yeah,
little like, oh, this
that's
is
fair.
wonderful emotions and all this stuff is, but also I don't see this trajectory. I'm not exactly sure what they're doing here. And I would also say I thought that John O'Connor, and he's a newer actor, he was in Knives Out too, but he's who the movie opens up with. I thought he did a wonderful, wonderful job. And I
Hmm.
felt like in the last act of the movie, it was just like, well, Emily Blunt's amazing, so like let's
Yeah.
just forget him.
His character very much got sidelined.
And I was more interested. I was like, what is he thinking about all this? What he was he doing? Like, I want more interplay. It feels like they wanted him to be the protagonist at the beginning, and then they were like, but Emily Blunt's amazing. And they just like put her to the forefront. And then I would also say, what was your second one? Oh, John Williams' score. I
John
really
Williams.
loved it, but I do not can't think of the theme, which is so crazy for a John Williams score.
That
Usually
is
there's
true. It didn't really stick to me. It more just felt like the ET theme. It was the vibe I got, and so it all just replaced itself with the ET theme in my mind.
sure. Yep. Yeah. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, I think that's all I have for that.
Okay.
So, do we want to
Sure.
dive into the spoilery stuff
Yeah.
now?
Yeah.
Spoiler
Sure.
warning for anyone watching. We are going to get into more of the alien question. So, if that is
Yeah.
more intriguing to you, then you might want to stick around. Um,
Yeah.
what do we think, Levi?
You know, getting into some of spoilers about movie notes about the movie. It didn't have a beginning. It just threw you right in to the point where I even had a moment, it's 10 p.m. after VBS, and I go, "Wait, did I miss something? Did I walk in late?" It just throws you right into the middle. And into a like UFC fight scene.
Yep, that was an
Like,
interesting stylistic
I was
choice.
whoa, where are we? Um, and then it doesn't have an end either.
Yeah.
Like, it leaves you on this cliffhanger. And I'm not saying this is a positive or a negative, actually. I actually might think that it's more of a positive. Um, because the movie is asking questions and it's making you sit with those questions and making these characters sit with those questions and like giving this message of the truth should get out there. We should try to expose truth.
Hmm.
Big T truth too. It should get out there. And then it doesn't really give you there's not really anything that happens on a world scale
Hmm.
that ever plays out all the way. The plot at the beginning of the movie is he has something to disclose, the alien tapes to disclose that show how bad we've abused these aliens and we're bad, and he's running from the government, and that is the whole movie, and the character's interaction with him trying to get or not, him trying to get it disclosed, trying to get, and they finally disclose it, and it's like, okay, well, how are they going to how is everyone the world going to respond to this?
Yeah.
And it doesn't give us that answer. So it's I think that's a good cool decision. I think it's making a lot of the themes and questions
Yeah.
sit longer because it didn't answer them fully.
Yeah, there was the whole background element of World War III essentially happening with North Korea. And what it seemed to be getting at was this reveal of the aliens was going to unite the world and resolve this conflict. We
We
didn't
Yeah.
get
didn't get
that
that
though.
though.
We
No.
got a cutoff with a sp- spoiler alert for the ending reveal of an alien that was very tall and classically alien looking.
Right?
And saying,
Saying,
"Listen,
listen. Yeah. Yeah. Well, the alien said more than that. And then Emily Blunt says, listen, and it gets off.
right,
Which, by the
right.
way, my pastor brain, to him who has ears to hear, let him hear.
Let
That's
him
what
hear."
popped into my brain. Like, listen. Um, that's what I was like, hey, that's how Jesus ended most of his a lot of the sermons and things he gave, even his letters to the three or to the seven churches at the beginning of Revelation ends with that. To him
Yeah,
who has ears, let him hear.
yeah. I was disappointed with the alien reveals in this. I wanted
Mm,
there to be more aliens. I was hyped up, honestly, on Spielberg's comments about this challenging the Christian faith or making you question your faith. It didn't do that for me. We've talked about this whole topic a little bit before with Project Hail Mary about Rocky and
mhm,
do aliens need Jesus? So we're already kind of breached the subject, but I think we're going to take a deeper dive today
mhm,
into it all. But I was expecting more Prometheus level reveals. Prometheus, if you haven't seen it, the prequel to Alien, where essentially we learned that aliens seeded Earth with life and or created life. I was expecting something more like that on the Christian side, saying like aliens not only created life, but we gave you the Bible or something like that. It's
Mm.
kind of what I thought we were going to get going into it, which is not what we get. We just got that, hey, aliens are cool with the Bible if you believe their interpretation.
Yeah, yeah.
So I
Hmm.
wanted more there. Well, what do you think of the aliens within the movie?
You know, I'm not a huge sci-fi guy in a lot of ways, so that didn't upset me too much. I remember when they have the awesome train sequence, and it is it was really cool. The train sequence there, it's even in the trailer some. I thought to myself, what an interesting spectacle scene for a sci-fi movie.
Hmm.
What I was picturing was a lot more Independence Day um type
Right.
spectacle, invasion, those yeah, so I guess there was a little I wish there was a little bit more to the aliens.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think it might be Spielberg too does nice guy aliens. He doesn't do
yeah,
your whole, except for War of the Worlds, which was him adapting H.G. Wells's book.
right.
He typically, when his original ideas contain nice aliens that are here. These
Yeah.
ones, I think they said their great power was their empathy,
Yeah,
which
and
is what we get,
mathematics.
and
They but they
mathematics, which
forgot
was
him.
their language. But
But they forgot the character that knew the
yeah.
mathematics. They just
He was
focused
just
on
the
the empathy.
translator in the end.
Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
was his whole big role.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, their empathy is their great power and their great gift to humanity. Which I like my aliens mean. I like them here to take over the earth, but it goes back to what we were saying with Rocky. It's like he's very much presenting aliens that don't appear to be fallen beings, as far as we can tell with our limited interactions with them.
Yeah,
They crash land on Earth and then let us torture them for for seemingly forever,
right.
without repercussion. Um,
Yeah, I felt very similar. I did have empathy in here as a note of that's ends up being the like this is what humanity needs. It answers this question of depravity. The movie actually is talking about human depravity quite a lot. It's saying there's the guys trying to hold back the truth, Colin Firth and their that whole cohort, and they're saying if it gets out there, it's going to be misused and it's going to disturb the. I don't even
their
exactly
motives weren't the most clear.
most clear, but but in trying to keep it back from humanity, they're showing their own depravity. And then you see all
Mhm.
these things about World War III throughout that are trying to say, like, hey, people are messed up. People are messed up. People are messed up. And that actually brings us a little bit to the theology of this movie. Um, and its answer to the question, will the reveal of aliens hurt the Christian faith? Would that disrupt? And I've actually heard several critics go, I don't understand why that would. But actually, Spielberg does. Spielberg understood, hey, we're the pinnacle of creation, according to the Bible. And so if this isn't what if we're not the pinnacle, then and something else out there is smarter than us and has all this technology and is so advanced, then what are we? What is our place in the universe? And who was Jesus? Like the son of God, son of man, the perfect image of what we're supposed to be. Who is this if he's not the highest being of creation?
Mhm.
Then which he's in his deity uncreated. The uncreated God became a created man. That's the great mystery of the Christian faith. But what he became in that was the image of the invisible God. It says that in Colossians 1:15. That Jesus is the image of the invisible God. That image that in Genesis 1, and they reference Genesis in the movie, and they say it, we're the pinnacle of this creation, of this world, which is
Hmm.
complete misunderstanding of Genesis 1, because it does not just make our world. He makes all the stars and the moon and the sun. And then at the end of it, it says he creates, let us create man in our image. And everything was good before that. But once he creates man in his image, he says, this is very good. This is
Hmm.
now the image of God. Um, yeah.
This is interesting. I read back the creation story today, and I was surprised because they had that line, aren't we the supreme creation? Is what the girl asks in the movie. For those who may or may not have seen the movie, she's a girl who was trying to become a nun. For whatever reason, she stopped becoming a nun, but she
It's
still
a little
has lots of
hazy.
nun friends. It's not said that she lost her faith because she still clearly has a lot of faith. Um,
Actually, that's interesting. It connects to everything else because the nun who confronts her about that says, "You didn't leave because of God, you left because of people," which is also that theme of depravity,
Depravity.
that
Yeah.
people don't have empathy. Anyway, go on.
But yeah, she says, she gets her hands on the data, all the information about aliens, and is basically wanting to destroy it because she thinks it's going to disprove her religion. Which, when that started happening, I was like, oh no, don't, like, that's not the way we need to go with this. Like, this is a terrible idea. This is not to prove our religion. But she comes around and calls one of her old nun friends, and her nun friend is like, we're the supreme created beings on Earth, not
Mhm.
in the cosmos, but on Earth specifically. I know you disagree, and you think, or not you think, I won't say what you think. Your interpretation is different. But I was surprised when I read the creation story today how many times it specifically does say Earth in there. You're given dominion over Earth, over
Mhm.
the birds and the beast and the livestock of Earth. It says Earth, 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 Earth. And I was like, is there something there? I already want to believe in aliens. We've
Mhm.
established this in our Andy Weir video. And I know your kind of thoughts on that is more we are created with the Imago Day. We can get into all of this again, I think,
Yeah.
without treading too much ground.
Yeah.
But I am curious to your thoughts on why it is not just Earth, um,
Yeah.
because it is in there a lot, um, and
So
I
my
tend to agree with it a little bit, but maybe you can
yeah.
sway me.
The biggest issue, the text that I would go to is not Genesis 1. I think it's a misunderstanding of Genesis 1. To say that the image of God is on us on this earth, but there could be anywhere else. And by the way, well, no, I'll get to the by the way later. I would go to Psalm 8, which is one of the biggest pictures of who humanity is. It says, "O Lord, our Lord, how majestic is your name in all the earth. You have set your glory above the heavens. Out of the mouths of babies and infants, you have established strength because of your foes, to still the enemy and the avenger. When I look at your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and stars which you have set in place, what is man that you are mindful of him, and the Son of Man that you care for him? Yet you have made him a little lower than the heavenly beings, and crowned him with glory and honor. You have given him dominion over the works of your hands. You have put all things under his feet, all sheep and oxen, and also beasts of the field, the birds of the heavens, and the fish of the sea, whatever passes along the paths of the sea. O Lord, our Lord, how majestic is your name in all the earth." And what's interesting about that is it says, "You have made him a little bit lower than the heavenly beings." In the ESV, but if you actually go and look at the word, it is not, and I love the ESV, um, it is not singular, or it's not plural, it's singular.
It's
It's
Elohim.
Adonai.
It was
What?
Adonai. It was Elohim. Maybe I read a bad
Elohim.
translation.
Oh, you're right. You're right. It is
See, I can
Elohim.
reverending too.
Yeah, nice. You're right. It's Elohim. And so it says you've made him a little lower than God. And then when we go to Hebrews 1 and it talks about Jesus's place after he's been resurrected, as a man, he is flesh. He's a man, truly man, still is. And he's above the angels. And when we ascend into heaven, into glory with him, we will reign with him over all of creation and be over even the angels. Um, and so there's an interesting, that's the main place I would go to say there's a distinction between the Imago Dei that we have and the Imago Dei that we will have as Christians. If you're a Christian, you'll be raised and restored completely to the image of God. That image has been perverted by Adam. Actually, it says in Genesis 5, and Seth was born in the image of Adam,
Mm.
not in the image of God. It actually like says this image has been degraded by sin. Christ comes and now we can be restored into his image, and he is the image of the invisible God. Kind of full circle there. So I actually think that there could be aliens out there, and I will retract what I said in my last video. They could be smart.
Ooh.
They could be even smarter than us, but they don't have the image of God, and they don't
Is
have the value that we have.
is the Imago Dei mutually exclusive to humans?
Yes, I would say so. I think that the Bible gives us the paradigm of what is man that you are mindful of him, the Son of Man that you care for him. You have set him above everything else. Um, Let us make man in our image. Um, that is an exclusive to him. And actually, and this is really interesting. My wife and I watched a very silly sci-fi show called Resident Alien. I don't know if you've seen any of it. It's
I have
really
not.
quirky. It's so quirky. But in the third season, there's a whole plot line about how the gray aliens are coming to harvest humans because humans are the only alien, only being with a soul. And
Interesting.
that was the whole plot. They had like hundreds of aliens, but they're going to Earth because humans are the only being with a soul. And I was like, hey, they agree with me. Like there could be all kinds of marvelous creations out there that have all kinds of different levels of intelligence,
Yeah.
but there's uniqueness to mankind, I think is what the scripture is getting at. Do you kind of
Yeah.
see
Yeah. I
what I'm
mean,
saying?
some of my thoughts were, and you've touched on this a little bit, if aliens do exist, can they be intelligent? Which you've now said you believe they can.
Yeah.
And kind of, I give you a little warning of this, but I was looking at at angels. What are angels? If we know they don't have the Imago Dei because we are created in his image and we're placed above the angels.
Hmm.
So if they don't have the Imago Dei, but they're intelligent creatures that we know exist in the universe, then it stands to reason there could be more out there. And then also like the angels, you can answer this.
Yeah.
Are they fallen beings? We know Lucifer was an angel and he's fallen, but as a species, they still seem to be mostly holy, mostly serving to God. So then, does that open up the possibility of a creature existing that is not fallen, or are they a special
So I see
servant
what you're
class to
saying.
God?
Yeah, in the spiritual realm, I guess that's a good question. I haven't given that a lot of thought, but I would say that the messengers of God that we see as angels in, throughout the scriptures, that they're not fallen like we are. And so
Yeah,
that is a interesting. I haven't fully parsed that
yeah.
out. There's
Which I'm
definitely
which I'm
fallen
opening to
angels.
that being the case, that as we are created as the Imago Dei with a specific purpose for God, so can the angels be created as His servant class. That
Yep.
sounds maybe bad to say God
No,
has
no.
a servant class, but that's what we see the angels being
Yeah.
and doing, and they seem to be okay with that
Well,
mostly,
yeah,
save
and
for
actually that's a
Lucifer.
picture of what we're called to be servants all throughout the scriptures. Jesus
Yeah,
himself did not come to be served, but to serve. Like he
yeah,
washed feet. He's the picture. He humbled himself even to the point of death on a cross, um, for us. So we should. serve others likewise. That's actually a huge theme, and I'm maybe preaching on it this next Sunday, so it's on my mind.
Nice.
Um, yes, I think that the angels are unique, mysterious, intelligent, and I wouldn't be surprised if some of the UFO sightings and things like that are angelic. Like they're the reason why we assume. I actually saw Doug Wilson made a comment about this. I'm not a huge fan of Doug Wilson. Did I just talk about this already? I might have talked about this
I'm
already.
not
If I
sure.
did, whatever. Um, Doug Wilson, I'm not in agreement with him on a lot of stuff, but he talked about how an angel shows up in the first century, or not an angel. You time travel back to the first century. You're standing next to a first century man. Somehow you guys have learned to communicate together, and you see something appear in the clouds, and it looks like fire, and it's moving around in circles, and it's all crazy, and there's all this, and it moves through the sky over the clouds and back, and then it disappears. And you go, "Can you believe what we just saw?" And the guy goes, "I never thought I would see a seraphim.
Mm.
I never thought that I would see a god." If they were not Judeo
Yeah.
ethic at that time. Like they would not have a category for, like, oh, let's make it evolutionary. It's not a spiritual thing. It's some other biological
Yeah, no,
life.
that's totally fair, and we see some weird stuff in the Bible, some
Yeah.
some stuff some stuff that could, if you even reading it, you're like, "What is going on here?"
Hmm.
Specifically thinking of, like, the Ezekiel 1 example,
Yeah.
with the rings within rings that Ezekiel sees when he specifically says he's looking at the throne of God, and seeing this very weird thing going on with these rings and these weird angels with 4 faces that are moving out in these weird geosynchronous patterns, and I
Hmm.
read that and I'm like, what the heck is going on? Like,
Yeah.
this is alien sounding stuff. And it was funny because I was reading some commentaries preparing for this, and one of them just said, "This scene is very hard to interpret from a biblical perspective." And I was like, thanks for clearing that up. Like,
Yeah.
great commentary there. But it is like these things are mysterious, and Ezekiel doesn't expound on what's going on or the meaning of them. And perhaps there is a deeper meaning that you as a reverend can interpret, but I didn't
I
find
I
anything
think
necessarily
I
besides
think that
saying, "Hey, angels are weird and different."
I think that that is absolutely what it's trying to express. The text is him seeing something, and he's trying to say, this was so mysterious. Like, I'm just going to try with my finite human brain to try to explain what this kind of looked like. Here's
Yeah,
what it kind of looked like. And we're going, wow, that sounds insane. Wow, this is so crazy. And that's just saying he's peeking into a realm that is beyond space, time, and matter, something that defines all of us.
yeah,
We're in space right now. I'm matter. My phone is matter. This is progressing in time. We are defined by those things, and God is not defined by those things. He created those things. So when we're looking at his dwelling, there's no way that we could comprehend what it is.
yeah,
So that's what I think the prophets are getting at, whether it be John in the book of Revelation or Isaiah in Isaiah chapter 6 at the throne room looking at these seraphim and cherubim saying forever, holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty. The
yeah,
whole earth is filled with his glory. Like there, it's like an amazing thing. And they do have an apparent beings that are in the spiritual realm. They come down and they talk to Joseph in the New Testament, and they say this is what's going to happen. Like this is coming. This is going to happen, and they have this out of time knowledge that they can
yeah,
come down and put in. And every time any person sees an angel throughout the scriptures, they go, like
yeah. Do
that
not
is
be afraid.
freaky thing. I don't think it looked like a baby with little wings, you know, like
Yeah, it's all very much beyond description. Do we do you think this is more probably opinion than it is theology?
Sure.
Does God have technology that's beyond our understanding? I think the Bible, we kind of tend to think that God exists in a medieval operation with chariots of fire, but we do see these weird things taking place, and I find
Even the
myself wondering, like, is God a god? God's a scientist. That's a
Yeah,
fact. Like,
yeah,
does he have technology? Are they using technology in some of these biblical scenes that we just can't comprehend, and
yeah.
the writers couldn't comprehend at the time?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think he has no need for it,
Yeah,
but he has no need for anything. I mean, he creates it out of an overflow of his love, out of an overflow
yeah,
of his joy. That's why we're here. And so I thought about that earlier today. It says chariots of fire, but how would a 2000 to
right.
4000 years ago person look at a saucer? What would they call that? Well, they wouldn't
Yeah,
have a
the main
category
vehicle
for
of
it.
the time was a chariot, so he's just
Yeah.
saying this vehicle with fire shooting out of it is flying through the
Now,
sky.
okay, if anyone's listening to this, I don't think that it was a saucer. I just had the thought, what
It
if
was
it
a
was?
saucer.
I don't think it was a saucer. I think it was something that
I
looked
don't know
more
about
like a chariot
flying
of fire.
saucer, but the rocket ship, fighter jet, come on.
I don't know.
Uh,
There's also like interesting time travel things that seem to maybe be happening. When Elijah and Moses and Jesus and Peter and the apostles, they all come up to this mountain and then they have this conversation. And then you look at the accounts of Moses and you look at the accounts of Elijah and you go, hey, they went up to
they
mountains.
were all in the
You,
mountains, yeah.
you know, like was that were they there as in
Commune with
God
God. They went in
God
there,
put
yeah.
them like God put them from heaven and went like I'm gonna put you here? Or is God going, hey, let me do some timey-wimey stuff in the Doctor Who quotation, timey-wimey stuff and make this mountain have three different time periods at the same time. Boom. Like he could
Yeah,
do that. No
that's
question.
interesting.
He's the creator of science. As you said, the logos, we got into last week a bit. uh,
Right.
The logic of it all. Now, what's interesting about the movie, you may have figured this out if you're listening to this podcast, and I know Cody knows this about me. I'm a Calvinist, and one of the main doctrines of Calvinism is the total depravity of man, and that it believes, it states, and I think biblically so, that man is unable to have faith or do anything good, including have faith, outside of divine intervention. And I think this movie had too negative a view of mankind.
Hmm.
Like, I really believe mankind is very negative. It's very evil. It's very wicked. But with its the value of mankind is in the imago Dei. It's in the image of God. And this movie, I think, kind of said that that image of God is not that grand.
Yep.
There's not the empathy. There's not um the intelligence. And while I might be willing to like stipulate, hey, there might be other beings out there that have some of these things, but they don't have the image of God. I think that it is underselling the capacity mankind has for empathy. To say, oh, this alien race comes in that needed to tell us about empathy. And I'm just like, hey, Spielberg, who gave you your idea of empathy? Like, you think we need more empathy, and you're
Yeah.
saying that and we need that from somewhere else. Who gave you your idea of empathy? And looking at the scriptures, we see a lot more emphasis on compassion. we see a lot more emphasis on sympathizing. Empathizing actually is an interesting paradigm as far as you're talking um, in a biblical paradigm. It says that Jesus sympathizes with us, but to empathize with someone is to be in their shoes, to experience what they're experiencing, and to have that relation. I know exactly what you've experienced. That you can't do that. Like that's an impossibility, and it makes Emily Blunt's character able to do that. Like I can get into your head, and I can empathize with you perfectly, and I'm like, I think your idea here is a little misguided about what humanity actually needs.
Hmm.
We need to recognize other people's hurts, have compassion on them, show care for them, feel sympathy for their hurts. But that isn't just accomplished by us going, let me put myself in their shoes. It's also accomplished by saying, I can imagine how this would hurt. And as a pastor, you walk into a house where someone has died and you go, oh, I lost my grandpa. Oh, I lost my, oh, I lost my, oh, I lost, like, you're making it about you.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
not the right answer. The answer is about them. They need your sympathy, not your empathy. And so there's actually not a really biblical example of empathy per se. There's always sympathy, compassion, and compassion and empathy have some similarities to them. I'm not saying just throw empathy out the window.
Yeah.
I'm just saying there's maybe a misconception of its value in this movie and in a lot of popular um, idea ideas of the time. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, that's fascinating. I did find myself not buying a lot of the things she was getting away with her magic empathy powers,
Mm.
like showing the big bad his wife and that just shutting him down. I don't know. I try to empathize and say, if I was in his shoes and saw my dead wife, would I be as stricken? Perhaps, maybe. But is a get out of jail free card?
I thought that the this is totally side note. It should have been earlier in the video. Just ignore. It. But the little doohickey that can do whatever the plot needs it to do. In
Oh yeah,
hindsight, that annoys me a little bit. It's like in the beginning of the movie, he holds it out, and they're like, "It's an
it's a
explosive." That's
weapon.
like
Yeah.
it's a weapon, and then literally you never see it really ever used for anything that would make you fear this thing. And the Colin Firth's character is supposed to be so knowledgeable about these aliens, but these aliens are practically pacifists.
Hmm.
Like all the things that this does, it hides them. It, you can transfer mind into somebody else. Like there's a couple others, and none of them are combat at all. But at the beginning, he holds it, and they're like, "Don't hold on to it too tight." It's like, for what? This thing
Yeah.
is just the do
We do
all.
see that one guy vaporize though when he grabs it off the ground.
Oh
So we
yeah,
do get
okay.
that,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
but yeah, we don't ever see it be used as an aggressive weapon where I think he could fire it or something.
Yeah. Anyway,
Um,
that was off topic.
no, you're good. Yeah, I thought the whole government organization as a whole, their motives were very not very clear. And then also unnamed government organization that's specific job is containing these aliens, I feel like is a little bit hand wavy
Mhm.
in respect to the actual bureaucracy of the United States government potentially hiding this thing, which I think is a lot more mundane. Um,
Mhm.
but
Yeah. There's also the reality that if tomorrow this happened, people would probably not be standing out watching it on their phones across the whole world. Like, it kind of felt like an 80-year-old trying to understand how millennials and Gen Z use technology. It like
Whoa,
gives
are
a
you
couple,
bashing Spielberg now?
just a little bit, just a little. I want to I'll give him benefit of the doubt. Like, I liked it, but I
Yeah,
did I heard that
it
from
did
another
feel like it was
YouTuber,
trying
and
to, like, have that Independence Day moment where the whole world's come together for this
yeah,
thing, but not quite the same level.
yeah, yeah.
I do think big takeaways, does this movie shake the Christian faith? I don't think it does. I think whether you end up on, you know, thinking the Bible can accept aliens or the Bible can't accept aliens, I think the end takeaway is the Bible's written to be vague on things, and that's intentional. That's why the Bible has stood the test of time. That's not to take away from the effect of the Bible. I think intentional, meaning God's providence, is what wrote the Bible.
Mhm.
So even though it was written by these ancient Near East people who had no concept of these things, it can stand the test of time because God knew it needed to stand the test of time. It
Yeah,
needed to be able to address topics
good
as complex
clarification.
as this. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It needed to be able to address topics as complex as this, and it does so successfully. So if aliens appear tomorrow, it does not debunk the Bible. The
No,
Bible accounts for this.
right.
And our faith is strong and solid regardless.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. You know, it might be hard if aliens showed up tomorrow for to convince me that they had the Imago Dei. Like, but
sure,
how do you
I'm not
well,
saying
no,
that
well, and
necessarily.
how do you that was gonna be my point. What is the Imago Dei?
Yeah.
What is it? We bear some likeness to God. What is that likeness to him? It there seems to be some aspect of free will. Then a lot of people will posit that. I agree. I think Adam absolutely had that free will, and that free will was enslaved to sin. And then when we go to Christ, he had that same free will, and he was the image of God, and then he did not lose that free will and get enslaved to sin, and we can actually be freed from sin and that slavery and gain our own free will through God, through
Yeah.
Jesus, through identifying with him. But what is like is it more than that? Um is it a soul? And then what is a soul? Like getting into those details, it's like, yeah, a very intelligent alien race could show up, but it might be hard for me to come over to, hey, they have the Imago Dei. Same thing with all these. This is a little just sci-fi note. There's all these AI movies, and I really like them. Synth movies, where there's like synthetics and stuff like that, Blade Runner and such. And it's
Yeah.
questioning what makes us human. Great question, and it's the image of God, and that can be kind of hard to put together what exactly that is.
Yeah.
And so he messes around with that a little bit. But to your point, will Christians' faith be upset by this movie? No, and the idea that it would be the first thing I actually took out my phone. There was only like four of us in the theater, and they were way behind me. I took out my phone when the nun that had given it up first said, "We can't get this out because what will it do to everybody's religion?" I typed into my phone, good Protestant that I am, what a Catholic idea. Like, of course she's a nun. This is a proper understanding of Catholicism that says priests should have the knowledge, they should be
Sure.
given all the information, and then they can bring it down to the right level for the normal Christians. And
Yeah.
the normal Christians can go to their priest and they can tell them and give them answers to things. That's a little unfair. That's not all Catholics. And I think it is appropriate for a Catholic nun to be like, "Hey, this doesn't upset my faith." But in that realization, the question that is somewhat being posited by this movie is truth worth revealing? Yes, that's my answer, and I think that's the answer that Spielberg gave too. The
Yeah.
answer is yes, and the truth will set us free, and there's this implication of like, "Hey, I have a secret, and I'm keeping it all to myself, that I have this sin, or I have this, whatever it may be, I have this secret that's my secret and would affect everybody. And I don't want to see, I want to hold that. I want to try to cling on to my secret so it doesn't have any effect on other people. Don't live that way. The
Yeah.
truth will set you free. It's the opposite message of The Dark Knight. That's what this movie is. The Dark Knight ends with the sometimes people can't handle the truth. So Batman will become the villain of this story because people can't really handle the truth. And
Interesting.
this is the exact opposite. No, people might not be able to handle the truth, but they still have a right to it.
Yeah.
And I think as Christians we go, yes, right? Like you agree with that completely?
Oh yeah,
I was
definitely.
talking with an agnostic the other day that was like, you know, if the truth will maybe lead people to incorrect biases, or if there's some, not all truth should be shared. Propaganda isn't always bad.
Mm.
Those were the exact words, and I was just
We
shocked
want
by
to be
that.
deceived.
What?
We want to be deceived.
Yes. I was just shocked when he said that. I was like, not all propaganda is bad. What an accurate view of woke agnosticism. Like that reality of, hey, you don't want to, if this might lead to you not believing the right things, then you shouldn't be exposed to it. Christians, stop being afraid of asking questions.
Yeah.
Ask the questions, search the answers, and then recognize that truth isn't based on your understanding. It's based on what God says. And if you just decide that you have if all the truth is just up here, so I'm kind of going back and forth here a little bit, but
No, you're
yes,
good.
seek out the answers, but realize that if you're just coming up with the answers from your own brain because of the chemicals in your brain and they're firing off in this way, that that truth is subjective, so to speak. Instead, go somewhere that actually has the answers, and the answers are concrete and outside of you. They're big T truth,
Yeah.
and that's found in the scriptures.
Yeah. I would say if Christianity couldn't stand up to rigorous testation, and skepticism, we shouldn't believe in it. But
Yeah.
lucky for us, it does stand up. Like it is
Mhm.
a faith of reason as much as the outside world tries to convince us that it's not.
Yes.
Um, it stands up to scientific scrutiny, it stands up to historical scrutiny, and it stands up to moral scrutiny. It is the best way to live life. That's without a doubt.
Hmm.
Um,
Even
and
Richard Dawkins and many other atheists
yeah,
say moralistically it is the way to live.
yeah,
They'll even admit to that. And yeah, it's not opposed to reason, it's the reason for reason.
mm,
If
truth, big T.
big T truth. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think we'll wrap up here. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comment section. We maybe coined the term alienology. What's your alienology? Uh, we are glad you joined us, and we hope to see you next time. This has been the Reverend and the Retcon.